Oh, you're in business.
We're in business. We ready to go? Okay. Today we get to study Torah for the sake of Torah, and I mean, is it going to be cool? It's cool for me.
It's kind of warm for me.
Getting to, is it, you mean turn A? Getting to learn Torah. It did. It popped up there to 78. All right. Cold anyway. Here we go. Stacy, did you get a water? Did you get a water?
I got one.
Okay. Now, just a quick review for everybody from last week. All right. Last week we created the Olam Akudim, the world of Akudim, or the world of bound, or the world of sound. All right. Now, I lost John there. On the feminine, on the this is always going to be the side of feminine, always going to be the side of masculine. On the feminine side, we have the Or Hinimi, which is the soul, the Or Makif, which is the body. All right, we have Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ben. 72 name, the 63 name, the 45 name, and the 52 name of God, which this correlates to Abba, Ima, Zeranpin, the middle six is Ma, which is the Bob, and Ben is the Malchut. Ben is the world we live in, the Malchut. Now, Ben is the numerical value of 52 in God's name. So what do we know in our world that has a numerical value of 52? How many weeks are there in a year?
52.
And that is why.
What is for?
Because we live in Malchut.
52 weeks.
And there's 52 weeks in a year because each week represents one value of the name of God's name in Ben. How many days are there in a week?
7.
7 lower Sphirot. So it couldn't be any other way. That is why God exists. That's how we can see God in our world today. Is He even by our how many weeks there are in a year and how many days there are in a week? How many festivals do we have? 7. You know. So anyway, this is why 52 is the last emanations. What's going on? This is what creation is. Creation's ultimately going to come through and represent itself as Ben. Now, remember last time we talked about that the lights came out of the ears, the nose, Ma, and the mouth of Ak. And it made a Kudim. And then the lights of the mouth came back out. And subsequently the Keter, the top one, came back out of everything, and it allowed this to now exist as it made a universe. Now, one thing we have to go over when you're dealing with light. All right? Let's just say if I have a flashlight and I turn that flashlight on, does it really ever stop and make a spot? No, it goes on. So the light of the Ak, the light of Ein Sof, it actually went beyond Akudim because it went to infinity. So what I've got here, and as I've got represented this body of Adam, the torso and the legs, so to speak. And in other words, this body represents infinity. All right? And so, but what God did is when he brings the light back, we're saying that this ring here, we're stopping it right here. We are stopping it right here. When in actuality it went out and made a ring, and then it came back in, and then it's going to go out and make another ring and come back in, and so on and so on, like this structure right here. Now see that? All right. Now, as you can see, we're calling the center of this the Ein Sof. And as the light's going back out, each time it goes out and it comes back, it makes a new ring, and God is constantly growing. All right? And we're out here on the outer ring. But what you have to understand is this picture works in the opposite direction as well. Let's just say that this is all of existence, all of the universe, the infinity. And all this white is the light of God. Nothing else exists. So if he sends the light into itself to form a center point on itself, like we've discussed, then we can say that center point then goes, when it comes back out, it forms an outer ring, and then he sends it from that outer ring back to the center point, and it comes back and makes another ring, and makes another ring. And so we become the center. And we are inside God. This picture here has God as the center, and we are on the periphery. They are both correct, because something that has no outside nor inside, where can you say we are? But we literally are living inside of God. And around that is the next layer and the next layer until we get, and we are Genesis.
So the inside the ring is the void. Is that where creation is? Is that where Malchut is?
We are the void.
Okay.
We are that void. We are that chaos. And as we're going to learn today, the kings of Edom, all right, those were the 6 days of creation. Now there's 8 kings. So, but each one of them is a day of creation. Now, when you read the Torah has chapter 36 at the end, and it says, and these are the kings of Israel before, and these are the kings of Edom before there was a king in Israel. That's the most, if you just read over that line, you're not going to get it. But you have to read that line into itself. These are the kings of Edom before there was a king in Israel. So are the kings of Edom outside of Israel? There's kings in Edom, and then there's kings in Israel. Or is it the kings of Edom are the kings of Israel? And that's what it is. Those are the kings of Israel. So that's why studying the Tohu and studying these kings is going to be so mind-blowing to see what is going on. And we're going to get into that. And I'll go ahead and preface it a little bit more, because when we listen to Bax here in a minute, I want you to listen. You'll hear the words Din Haba, the world of Din. Din, like Alom Haba, the world to come. You'll hear Din Haba, the world of Din. And so the first king,
That would be the din to come.
well, and that the din to come, but what is to come has already been.
Okay.
Hold on, where's my? And you're gonna see in another one that the name of the city was Pei.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of these kings is going to follow the lights of the ears, mouth, nose, the lights of Din, the lights, each one of these kings. And what we're going to do over the coming weeks is we're going to write every one of these kings. See, some of them say that this he was the son of, and some of them doesn't say he was the son of. And then the last one that said doesn't die.
And one has a wife.
And one has a wife. Well, we're going to get to all the reasons why. Now, then we're going to get to a point. Then we're going to get to a point where these same kings are listed again in Chronicles, First Chronicles. But they're all spelled differently. So is it scribal error to think they didn't, like Rabbi Back says, to think they didn't have the book of Genesis laying in front of them where they could at least copy it correctly? What it is, and this is going to blow your mind. Do y'all remember the lesson on the Agulim and the Yosher? Remember? The circles are the Agulim and the lines are the Yosher? I got it written right up here. Remember that teaching from a while back? I think you probably missed that one, Stacy. This is the original emanation of the Ein Sof. That created Ak was the Agulim and the Yosher. Well, guess what? The kings in Genesis are the Agulim, and the kings in Chronicles are the Yosher. That's why we need to learn this stuff. Because without learning this stuff, you'll never understand the Torah and what it's talking about. Yes, ma'am. Bye.
Do you want to lock the side door?
You can lock everything up and leave the back open, it's fine.
Okay, the kings in Ogulim, or the kings where?
And 36, Genesis.
And First Chronicles was written by Solomon, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Now, what was the two books that?
Chronicles and Genesis?
No, it was the Song of
The
Song
Song of Songs and,
and Lamentations.
Lamentations,
All right.
that's right.
So, now that I've got your senses excited about what we have to come and about what's going on, and we're going to see the 10 kings, the kings in chapter 10 of Genesis and what all's going there. We've got to go. You got a question?
Yeah. The kings, a topic sentence of what we're going to study today. The kings
that has nothing to
are-
do with what we're going to study today. That's what we're going to study in the coming weeks. I just want to kind of give you a little where we're headed.
Now, let me just, there's clarifications. The Yosher, is that the kings in Chronicles?
Yes.
And it's the emanations of Ein Sof?
Emanations of Ein Sof, the creation of Ak, Adam Kadmon. What we have to cover today, people, is the lights that come out of the eyes of Adam Kadmon. We had the lights of the ears, which is the Shema, that's why you have to hear the Torah. The lights out of the nose, because we have two openings in our ears, they're wide apart. We have two openings in their nose, they're closer together. These lights are closer together. The lights of the mouth were one light connected. The first time one light emanated. The lights of the eyes. Now, I'm going to quickly tell you a story before we get into this. This is one, and if any rabbinic person ever listens to this, I'm paraphrasing. There is a story, one of the most famous stories of all time. And if you've never heard of the martyrdom of Rabbi Akiva and the 10 martyrs, look it up on Wikipedia. Now, Rabbi Akiva and the 10 martyrs. Rabbi Akiva was during the time of Jesus, a little prior.
A little after.
A little after, rather. And he was virtually slaughtered
He was
every day,
He was
fleshed,
flayed.
filleted every day. Now, there's a lot going on here of what's going on, and unless you understand this, you'll never understand that story. When Moses was on Mount Sinai, obviously it didn't take him 40 days to get the 10 Commandments. He was learning lots of stuff. One of the things God tells Moses, turn around and look down. And he saw Rabbi Akiva teaching in his yeshiva. That happened thousands of years later. And he saw Rabbi, and it says, and Moses sat on the 18th row, which y'all ought to be plugging dots there together right now. And Rabbi Akiva, and Moses sat on the 18th row while Rabbi Akiva taught. And it said Moses was exceedingly confounded about how Akiva was putting crowns on the letters. Which y'all should be going bing, 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 bing. Crowns on the letters. And then it showed, then God showed Moses Rabbi Akiva's martyrdom. And Moses turns to God and says, this is your Torah and this is your reward. And God says, shtok, which means shut up. It literally means no sound. For it has arisen in my thought. And that's where it ends. So, over the next millennia, we will break that kasha down. But I'm going to give you a little insight on what's going on with that whole thing. Without getting into numerology. The lights that emanate out of Ak through Akudim, remember we said they went on and on and on. And God, when He breathed back in, and created, when He was bringing the Tzimtzum back, all right, if you notice, this red line I have here is going out with arrows out. And then I've got it making a turn and connecting and coming back. And coming back. And I made the dotted line come back to Ab, which is the male. Because this is Bina, Hokmah, male, female, father, mother. Abba, Ima, right? This is what's called, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, this is what's called Man. Ma'im, Nukbin. This is the feminine waters. This is the feminine waters. This is what all the stimulation is about. Oh man, you've missed a ton, Russell. All right. So this is the stimulation that comes back and arouses God to create again. It's called Ma'im Nukvim. Its word comes from the Nukva. The Nukva, we know, is Malchut, right? The feminine. That's why the lower is called the feminine. Because anytime we have a Hey, we have Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, God's four-letter name. The Sag, that is a Hey, feminine. This is mother, Abba, Ima, father, mother. And Ben is daughter. So these are the feminine. This comes back and stimulates God to create once again. This is the arousal in His thought. You have to understand, this is all going on in the thought of God. All these universes are contained within His thought. Not that they aren't created, they are created. But He is doing all this. He is, if you want to say, He's metaphorically saving all of it up to put it into Bina, into earth, into Malchut. And everything that He ever created or destroyed, in other words, everything He ever revealed and then concealed, will play itself out in the 6 days of creation and in the 6,000 years of our earth. until the 7th. And because this has never not stopped, God has been doing this since when's the beginning? Where are you going to put the point on the beginning? All right? The same goes true to the end. Where are you going to put the point on the end? We are somewhere in that line. The lesson says the Messianic age will be the 7,000th year. And then there's the 8,000th year. And then there's the 9,000th year. And then there's the 10th. And he says, only in the 10th will life begin. So, take that for what it's worth. All right. So, I've given you just a little bit here. This is what's going on with Rabbi Akiva. He literally is the Ma'im Nukvim. He literally is that stimulation that allows God to create. Rabbi Akiva asked God before he went through the martyrdom, why do I have to go through this? He says, if you don't, I will turn everything back to Tohu. So, we can thank Rabbi Akiva that the world exists today.
That's why he laughed.
Yeah, and because why did he laugh? Because when the pain gets mitigated by the Ein Sof, it's pure, unadulterated, organousic pleasure. That's the same thing with a husband and a wife. When the feminine waters and there's union, it's pure pleasure. And that's what's going on. And why did he say shtok? Why did he say no sound?
Why?
No sound. The sound, the vowels, the letters, he was saying, no. Where he's operating there's not even sound. It's up here.
It's silence.
You see what's going on?
It's silence. I've
Yes.
experienced that.
It's silence. It's above sound. It's above akudim.
And you can cut it. We can cut
It's
it with a
above
knife.
akudim. That's called a hashmal. That's what it's called. Speaking silence.
Hush.
It's called hashmal. It's called speaking silence. In other words, the silence is so silent, it literally speaks. All right?
It pulsates.
Yeah, but now you kind of see what's going on here with Rabbi Akiva and just where you get 18. Of course, 18 is the word for chai or life. 18 is the word for spine. It's permeations of Yud Hey Vav. If you can write Yud Hey Vav 3 different ways. You start it with the Hey over here, Hey Vav Yud, Hey Yud Vav, and then on this one you start it with the Vav, the male, because it's in the middle, and then on here you start with the Yud. 3 times 6 is 18. He is Zeranpin. So it just starts all connected. Now, when God says, in the beginning God created the heaven and earth, what is he talking about? Let's take the first words of Genesis. In Bereshit, God created heavens and the earth. As we think about it, we think, the sky and our planet. In the beginning, he created Zeranpin and the Nukva. In the beginning, he created this and this. Malchut and the Midot. That's what it means. In the beginning, this is the heavens and this is the earth. Heavens and the earth is a code language for Zer and Nuk. It's called Zoom. Alright? I'm kind of going over some of his terminology, so when we listen in a minute to Rabbi Bax to explain the opening of the Leshem, and it gets even deeper. Alright. I'm gonna read through this for the sake of the video, even though it covers some other. Before we proceed, let us brief review. This is coming from Rabbi Bart Sadok. Before we proceed, let us review that in order for God to create a universe, He must first create a space for the universe to exist. For His omnipresence, He is everywhere, and there was such no space in the universe. Therefore, God created this empty space of sorts, so that He could create infinite universes. The first aspect to be was the creation in His divine will. This is a crown of creation, like a royal diadem. The level of manifestation of God's creation, this is the Keter. As we've discussed, the Keter is Ak, His crown. Now, the divine will, the Keter at this level, still only manifests the raw, unrealized potential of all that is to come. The divine will, the Keter, is in essence like a sea that contains everything. The initial presence of God in the universe, His divine will, is called Adam Kadmon. In order to manifest creation, God had to first manifest this initial concept form. His essence, which is the light and life force of life in the universe, pre-existed creation. There was a need to create a form of vessel, multiply the vessels, in order for God's indivisible light to differentiate and manifest all the potentials that lie latent in God's unknowable essence outside of the creation, or the Ein Sof. The light of God outside of Adam Kadmon, metaphorically, for what we will call His ears, His nose, and His mouth. Yet these three metaphors described in detail in our previous lecture led to the solidification of the form in a world of force. Yet, the vessel that emanated from the mouth of Ak was only the initial prototype. That's going to initially be the world that we will live in. Now, with this complete, the stage was set for the next phase of creation. What is to come now is the formation of the vessels that would create the universes that would become known to us. Now, the lights of Ahaf, the ears, nose, and mouth, emanated outside the body of Ak and manifested their light downward to the metaphorical navel of Ak. I made a metaphoric navel for us. Where am I at here? At this point, the light of Akudim ended. Now, we know that it can't just end, but we shall go on. This left the lower portion of Ak in the universe in darkness, absent from the revelation of light of the divine. In order for creation to continue, this realm needed to receive light. The lights of Ahaf are the Tananim of Sag of Ak. Thus, they are the Ab of his Sag, which we talked about last week. They are the Tananim, they are the sound of Sag, of Ab, because we always have to have father and mother to create. Now, Ak, as we have learned, Ak, this big circle, we have learned only has Ab and Sag. Now, doesn't mean it doesn't contain these, but these will stay there. You know, father and mother, they're the same age. Then the kids, you know, they're just look at it as a family lineage. There was no Ma and Ben, at least not yet. Therefore, in order to create Ma and Ben of Ak, a new Tzimtzum had to occur. At the point where the light of Akudim ended, this new Tzimtzum occurred. Ak withdrew the light of his entire lower half beneath his metaphoric navel, and this is that Ma'im Nukbin that was generated. At this point, he creates an empty space called Masach. Now, this is, I drew it right here for you. You may know what that is.
So,
I drew it right here for you. Anybody know what this is?
Waistline,
Huh?
your waistline?
Yeah, a little higher maybe.
The
your
equator,
diaphragm?
the equator.
It's your diaphragm. What separates your upper worlds from your lower worlds is your diaphragm. This is what God is creating in the universe. This is how we are made in the image and likeness of God, even down to our inner parts. Similar to the empty space between the head of Ak and the light of the Ein Sof, which is the Malbush, this is a form of Malbush, a form of light garment division. Okay? This Masach was created to separate the light of Akudim above and that which was now to manifest below. Following the Tananim of Sag, of Ak, was now to come forth Nekudot. Now, remember in our deal, the sound, this is the Tanta, which is Yud Hey Vav Hey. The Tananim is the sound, Nekudot are the vowels. Okay? So now the sound is emanated, now the vowels are fixing to be emanated. Okay? And this is the world of Alom HaNekudim, Nekudim, the world of points. Or points or spots. That's why I got all these points and dots in there. Alright? And this is, you can remember Nekudim, Nekudot. That is this level. While the Tananim, Amim, give the tune of the chant, the Nekudot give the pronunciation. Nekudot, therefore, give form to the vessels that create in the realm of Akudim. In a similar way, as vessels allows the letters to be pronounced. When, with the withdrawal of the light of Ak above his navel, and the creation of the Masach, now a new light will emanate forth from Ak. The light, this light, metaphorically speaking, emanates from his eyes. The light of the eyes of Ak has two aspects to it. From one aspect, the light of the eyes is Sag, and the other, the lights of the eyes are Ben. As you see, I have a black line connecting Sag and Ben. Hay to hay, mother to daughter. This needs to be explained. As we have now explained, the Tananim corresponds to Ab, because if this is Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, this is Ab, Sag, Ma, Ben. Nekudot corresponds to Sag. Therefore, the lights of the eyes corresponds to the Nekudot of his Sag, and thus the essential Sag of Ak. Now, remember that the light of the ears correspond to the Sag of the Tananim of Sag of Ak. They are not the same. Let me clarify in case that's confusing at all.
Oh, no.
You don't mention Ab.
Okay.
Okay? The Ab, look at it like this. Ab stays so far away, we ain't even talking about it.
It's like a silent letter.
Yeah. So you have to deal with this. But in this, in Sag, contains Ab, Sag, Ma, Ben, and which is the Tanta. T-N-T-A. See what I'm saying? So the the upper stays upper. In other words, Daddy, once Daddy does his portion in, like we talked about last week, in creation, nobody focuses on Daddy anymore. It's all on Mommy. Mommy, and then when Mommy has a baby, it's all the focus is on the baby. You know, and Daddy, he just pays the bills and keeps it going. Right?
We know how you feel now.
So,
We got the picture.
that's the picture. But anyway, I wanted to explain that when he's going, you know, this is the Sog of Sog and the Ma of Sog and the Sog and the Ben of Sog. You know, because we're not talking about the Ab of Sog, because that doesn't exist, so to speak. It obviously at this level.
Right.
The Ab of Ab would be the Ein Sof. See, that's what he's saying. All right. So, the Sog, we know, is the first Hey of Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. In relationship to Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, we've learned that the Ab is the Yud, the Sog is the Hey, and the Ma is the Vav, and the Ben is the Hey. With the Tanta, and just what we went over. All right? Thus, the lights of the eyes correspond to the Hey, the final Hey, and Ben. Now, in regards to the spirit of Ak, the Tanta is divided as follows. The Tananim is the Keter. Tananim is the Keter. Nekudim is the Hokmah. Tagin is Bina.
Tagging?
Yeah. Is in the spherotic structure.
Okay.
And the lower 7 are the letters.
Now you're talking about the Tanta.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the TA is the
Keter.
Keter. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and the Ian.
Is Hokmah.
Okay.
And Bina is the Tagin, Tagin. And the letters, the Otiot, Otiiyot, Otiot, they're the lower 7.
And the crowns are what?
Hokmah. No,
No.
Bina. Now, what you have to realize, therefore, in the essence of the light of the eyes, that becomes Nekudot, this Sog. But it is also Ben, because it's the final Hey. The lights of the eyes also have an aspect relating to Hokmah. That's why I drew a line up here to Daddy. We must always remember that spiritual reality is never so concrete and unremovable as it is in a physical reality. Overlapping realities are the rule in spiritual realms. In other words, overlapping light. They're always touching. So here's what happens. Now returning to our discussion of the lights of eyes of Ak. As we've said, the lights of the Ahaf emanate down and covers the entire upper torso of Ak. Then a Masak was created to separate between the upper and lower worlds. Only then could the lights of the eyes come forth. In order for there to be any lower worlds, these vessels that would form these lower worlds had to be able to receive and tolerate abundant, powerful light. Therefore, as the lights of the mouth withdrew, like we showed last week, withdrew inside and only returned in a lesser state, so to here the lights beneath the navel of the Ak had to ascend. More than this, the Masak separated was created to define boundary. Now, here's an important point. Whenever something new is to occur, a space for it must be created. This is the case and cause of the initial tzimtzum. So here too is another tzimtzum. The lower portion of Ak was a vacated space. The lights ascended above. It was by the power of this light of Ak he was able to open his eyes and see. And then we're getting to, and he said, "Let there be light." And he saw that it was good. See where they're going? But if you're not seeing it from, see, now he's fixing to be able to see the light. Not that he can't see, but when he saw the light was good, that is complete metaphor for the lights descended out of the eyes of Ak and created, the whole Genesis account, he's creating Ak, Akudim, Nekudim, Barudim. But it doesn't read like that. It just says, in the beginning he created heaven and earth, and they said, let there be light, and there was light, and the Spirit hovered over the face of the water, and the earth was that formed and void. Well, that right there was like 20 billion freaking years, you know, of stuff going on, which is all this. All right, back to study.
What was the no sound that Moses made? I mean, Moses was told. The
Stoke.
word stoke,
He was told stoke.
and that was Ab.
Hmm?
That was Ab.
Well,
It was about a kiva.
that was about a kiva. But what I'm saying about stoke,
Well, you're saying that that Ab is above all of this,
Yeah.
but you also said no sound is above this.
yeah,
So it's above the Tantaim. So basically, the stoke or the no sound or where they
The-
they were in Ab.
well, the what was returning to God was that stimulation that he needed, and it was going past verbal even explanation.
Again, Ab is the Ein Sof,
uh,
so
uh,
it had to go to.
Yeah. So he's like, no sound, for it is rising in my thought.
Are you asking the question subtly, where is the silence? Because that was my question.
No, I'm saying, I'm making the connection between the silence and Ab and the Ein Sof.
What he's saying is, at what coordinate were they working?
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, they're in Ab.
Yeah,
They're beyond everything else.
yeah. They're
But
in the Keter. They're
Yes.
actually
Okay.
in the tip
Keter
of
of
the U.
Keter. They're in Keter of Keter.
In the what, Russell?
Is it in Keter of Keter or is it the tip of the U? Because Keter is the tip of the
The
U.
crown?
Yeah.
Around the
They're in the tip of the U.
Which is the tip? The bottom part or
The
the?
top.
The top,
The
the
crown.
crown, the little crown, the little.
The crown.
All right, let's get back to this. Whenever something new occurred, all right, the lights had to ascend back above. It was by the power of this light that Ak was able to open his eyes and see. This light ascended and became what is called Ma'im Nukbim. Feminine waters referred to as Man. Don't get Man confused with Ma.
Okay, question.
Mhm.
What caused the U-turn there in the legs to turn around and go back?
The tzimtzum, the contraction, the whole suction.
Okay, so it wasn't anything that, say, we do, prayers or anything.
No, but that's the essence of prayer. The essence of prayer is Ma'im Nukbim. When you return pain, sickness, pleasure, that is Ma'im Nukbim. That is Guvarot.
When I return pain?
Yes.
What do you mean?
When you pray, what are you doing?
You're asking God to take away the pain?
You're giving it back. Yeah, you're communicating. You're making the connection, right?
Okay.
I mean, you're wanting to. When you pray, you're wanting Him to do something, right?
You're not saying,
necessarily.
thank you for my pain. You're saying, heal my pain. And
Yeah.
that's making the connection?
Yes.
Oh, you're just returning it back to God. You're-
Yes.
That's the way it has to be thought, is that,
Yeah.
that it can be your pain, it can be your pleasure, it can be anything
See,
that you're doing.
it is not correct to say, well, I've got cancer, that's just the way it is, I'm gonna accept, I'm gonna accept this yoke and, no.
And go to my grave with it.
No, it is, you would show God that, and you would literally get angry with him and say, look, this is not creation. This is not what it's supposed to be.
The other side.
You're perfect, therefore I'm made in your image, therefore I'm supposed to be perfect, therefore you've got to do something about this. And that's what he wants. Now, you may die, but that's not the point. The point is, you are sending back that gouverot, that unmitigated pain, constriction. You're sending all that back so that God can send recreation to the earth. It's not so much about you, it's about maybe your kids or the earth in general. Somebody has to do it for the earth, for creation. So, it's all a part. Okay. From what we've gone over right quick, anybody but James, because I told him a while ago. Somebody tell me what is going on with Abraham and Isaac.
You mean when the Akedah?
And Abraham and Isaac.
Well, you talking about at what point?
Okay?
The sacrifice?
Yeah, what's going on there? With what we're talking about.
When he's offering Isaac back
The
to
Akedah.
God for more creation.
Oh.
It's what?
All right, she said he's offering Isaac back to God.
Right.
What did he do first?
He blessed.
You bound him.
Oh, he bound him. Why did he bind him? What is he doing? What is Abraham doing? Where is Abraham working? What coordinate is Abraham working on? He's working in Akudim. He bound him.
That's why there's a blank void in all the stories about what happens to Isaac.
Okay, so what's going on? So what Sphirot is Isaac? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Gouverot?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Isaac is Gouverot. Isaac is Din.
Right.
So what has to happen to Din to get God to recreate?
Din has to be bound and
Offered back to create Ma'im Nukbim. So what happens? Abraham says, I'll do it. I'll do it. Because we've got to get creation keep it going. All right? Just about the time he's about to do it, the angels are like, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa. It's not time for that. It's okay. In other words, the light that Abraham had in him was so strong, it created its own Ma'im Nukbim. He didn't need to kill his son. That happened with Akiva. See, God had already put the trigger of the self-sacrifice into Rabbi Akiva. And when did it culminate? The whole big thing culminated
With Akiva?
with Akiva, and then it happened again on a larger scale.
on the Holocaust.
Exactly.
And then what? Repeat that.
The
The
Holocaust.
Holocaust. You see, all pain and suffering, human suffering, especially Jewish, is this loop that allows God to sustain the world. Now, the whole world hates the Jews, and the Jews dying for them every day to keep the world going as we know it, for God to obliterate us. Because to anything outside of Israel is wicked, especially in the eyes of Hashem. So the only way we stay in His good graces is to attach ourselves to Israel, to His Torah. That's what's pushing us, saving us. That's what's keeping us from being obliterated. All right. So just a little sidetrack there about what's going on, but all of that. And in other words, I say that to say this: you can't just say Jesus and others died to save the world. He is an example of one of millions of Jews who have died to save the world.
Exactly.
You follow me?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, we will go on. Ma is in one of the most...
Wait just a minute. That whole progression that you just said about Isaac, Akiva, Holocaust,
Yeah.
sacrifice,
Yeah.
is that in Sog? Is that in Sog?
What I was explaining is all it is the feedback loop of the light coming down and the light returning. The feminine light returning. In other words, what it is, it's the dance between Hasidim and Guvurot. It's called Hug principle. Y'all have heard me discuss that before. It's the dance of Hasidim and Guvurot.
Hasidim is
Exactly.
Hesed and Guvurot, or Hokmah and Bina. This is male, this is female. All it is them coming together. Hasidim and Guvurot.
Well, when you were talking about how the Jews versus the rest of the world, that we're keeping the world going.
They are.
The Jews. I'm Jew.
Oh,
Let's see. I lost my train of thought.
You said pain.
Even though it's painful, and the others don't even know what you're doing,
Right.
it sounds like a mother.
it is.
The way a mother
It
does
is.
for her
It
kids.
is.
They don't understand her.
What
They
does
kick her.
what does the
but-
Torah say? And who is weeping for their children?
Rachel.
Who is Rachel?
Jeremiah 31.
See?
Rachel's Ben.
Yeah, Rachel's Malchut. The earth. You can say the earth is. You can say the earth is weeping for her children. You can say Rachel is weeping for your children. You can say Sarah. They're all. It's all an iteration.
But it's
You
Ben.
can, yeah.
Ben's
But you can say Eve is weeping.
Yeah.
You know, and it's going to go up to. You see what I'm saying? It's all an iteration of what's going on. Okay, back to this.
In the same
Yes.
vein, the pain and suffering of the Jews allows God to
Continue creation.
continue creation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. It is, you have to understand, in a world where there's duality, you have pain and pleasure. When a world where there's no duality, there's no difference between pain and pleasure. And this may be a very crude example, but it's one that you always remember. If you saw a picture of a woman getting raped, would she be in pain or pleasure?
Hey.
What's the same act as a woman
And pleasure.
getting pleasure? You follow me? It is the environment that she is in. The actual physical act is the same, but it's the environment.
Is
Different.
It's
In other
just-
words-
Yeah, it's just like two posts on the battery are just exactly the same, but they have two different potentials.
Yeah. Over here she's getting raped and over here she's having pleasure.
okay.
The only difference is the atmosphere. The look on her face is the same at the moment of impact, in other words. So that's a good way to describe the pain of the Jews.
Okay.
Is the pain of the Jews pain or is the pain of the Jews pleasure? It all depends on where you're looking from.
Whether you're in the Holocaust or
If you're looking from God's view, it's all pleasure. And it's what's keeping the world going. And I guarantee you, although they are suffering and everything, they inherently know what they're doing. Without the Jews, the world does not exist
But
at all.
It's
Why,
the
why
glue.
their bitterness though, that still exists today because of the Holocaust?
Other bitterness with the
Well, you
Jews?
said they know what they're doing.
Why is there bitterness? Well, their whole life for 6,000 years, people have been trying to kill them. I'm sure they're kind of pissed about it. You know?
But you said
Most
they
of them that are
inherently
bitter are
Huh?
non-religious. They're non-religious. They've
Yeah.
given up God. They've lost everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
They don't, they're just like anybody else, they don't like to be singled out and separated and treated differently. And, anybody that's treated differently, in any segment of society, is bitter about it. And if talking about any minority to anything else like that, but like we're saying here, that's the stimulation.
that's the stimulation that
And
it
the
keeps
answer to
God
your
going.
question is the mindset, or what you just said in the rape situation, or the atmosphere.
Yeah,
It's the mindset.
yeah.
What is their mindset? And that produces the reaction.
Yeah, and so, we can thank the Jews every day that we get to breathe air. So, let's continue, or we'll never get done. This ma'im nukbin is one of the most essential ingredients of creation. Ma'im, or man, is the desire from below to receive from that above. When the lights below the torso of Ak ascended, it did so that an expression of desire within Ak to create. In other words, these lights went back and they wanted more.
Desire to receive from the,
Desire received from the Ak.
Ak below, the
The
something
Ak-
below.
No. As the lights went back up, they wanted their desire to receive more light from up here, from Ak. Now, because of this passionate ascent and the tremendous abundance of light now exclusively in the upper torso of Ak, this caused there to be a merge between Ab and Sag of Ak. This led to the birth of this new light, the light of the eyes. So, as he emanated light out of Akudim, it went on for infinitum. As he brought it back, this light comes up to Ak, up into Ak, and it is feminine in nature, because it was Sag, remember? It all started out of the ears, it was all Sag. So it was feminine in nature. When it comes back in, this feminine light comes back in, well, guess what? Ab's like, hey, we get to create again. And so Ab and Sag get together, and that's what this line and these eyes represent. They get together, and she has another Ben. So Ben comes through, and you have to understand, I've drawn these as three separate things, but they're all just emanations of one thing. Always keep that in mind. The light from Ben comes back through, and I put two little circles here. I put an S and a B for Sag and Ben. These two lights come through and create Nekudim. Now, I have Sag and a Hay and Ben and a Hay. This is the world of pure din. Pure feminine guvero. Pure din. Guvero.
Female.
Guvero is constriction. Guvero is
Constriction.
yeah.
Okay.
In other words, it says, no one, the scriptures say, no one can stand in front of the might of the Holy One, right? Who can come against the might of the Holy One? All right? Now,
Is constriction like vessel? Is it,
constriction is like, that would be It's anger. It can be anger, constriction. It's like a womb, a mother's womb.
Well, a vessel.
All right.
That's
Yeah.
a vessel.
Hesed would be expansion, like a man would expand to create. A woman contracts to create.
Okay.
All right. Now, back to our 52. Does anybody know what the numerical value for the word animal is?
52.
Thank you. Does anybody know what the word behemoth means?
Huge.
Is it 52?
Animal.
It's 52.
Behemoth means animal. So when Job is talking about behemoth, he is talking about 52. He's talking about Ben. He's talking about the den of Ben, the Guvarot, the might of God. Who can come against behemoth? Who can come against the mighty hand of the Lord? You see, it's all code language for what's going on.
Why did they write it that way?
Because
Then the
you,
Christians take it and they say it's a dinosaur.
I know.
Well, you gotta be in the loop.
Because that's what this class is about. That's what excites me about this class. Is for if you can leave here with one nugget that changes the way you see life, with one nugget that changes the way you see Torah, it's all worth it. You may not get all this stuff. Who cares? But if you understand that at the end of the day, I know why there's 52 weeks in a year now. If that's all you walk away with here, you have just seen God in your world that you live in. And why? And because most people have a hard time believing God even exists. But if you can see Him in everything,
Or did he exist somewhere else and he's not involved?
and He's
here?
not involved, and
But this is everything here.
yeah, and everything here is God. And so if we can get to that point where every class we have a aha moment where we go, well, that just clears it all up. Okay, let's go on. There's always more to learn in Torah. We haven't even scratched the surface. This merge between Ab and Sag in Hebrew is called Yehud, which means to join or couple, or have union in a sexual nature. Ab and Sag elsewhere are called father, mother, Abba, Ima, respectively. They must bond together in order to have children, which is in reference to the creation of Ma and Ben, the son and the daughter, or sons and daughter. Meaning. The meaning of this metaphor is, Ab, generally speaking, is Hokmah. Sag, generally speaking, is Bina. Hokmah and Bina are the two aspects of the function of the mind. Hokmah is the intuitive perception of the right lobe of the brain. Bina is the intellectual cognition that corresponds to the left lobe of the brain. The creation of something new can only occur when both halves of the brain work together. That's why you should discuss everything before you do it with your spouse.
And Bina's the left side of
And
the
that came out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Before you do it. Doesn't matter what she says, but just discuss it with her.
Yeah. You can't say,
I know you-
it's no, and it's no because I said so. It's no. And we just discussed it.
You don't go buy a truck because it's a good deal just without discussing it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you don't come home with a Charger just because you wanted one. Right, Mama? The creation,
Unless you're Russell.
the creation of something new can only occur when both halves of the brains work together and function. This requires one of the developments of the this is one of the development meditation consciousness that you do where you get both halves of your brain. We ain't gonna get into that. The techniques of how to balance and all that. We ain't gonna get into that. We'll get into meditation and how all that works one of these days. With the lights. With these insights to the light of the eyes, let's take a moment to focus on nekudot, which are the vowel marks. Without them, it would be impossible to be able to pronounce the words. For example, the first word of Torah is Bereshit, usually translated as in the beginning. However, without the vowels, listen to this. This is very important. Everybody got your ears open? For example, the first word of the Torah is Bereshit, usually translated in the beginning. However, without the vowels, the word is read Barashi, meaning 6 were created.
6 were.
6 were created. So,
We're gonna have to qualify this on here. The word without the vowels, is it another word without the vowels?
yes,
'Cause-
yes, it's this word. From Bereshit to Barashit.
Okay, you can change the vowels.
Yeah.
But the consonants are all the same.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay.
Yes.
I'm with you.
The the vowels are 2 letters. The vowels are to letters as the body is to the soul. The vowels are the life force, the spirit of life breathed into the letters to give them a sentence. Vowels are unique as they are to Hokmah, Sag, and Ben all together. Now, there are 9 vowels. Why not 10? We got 10 sphirot, but we only got 9 vowels. Malchut has nothing of its own. Shavi? Malchut has nothing of its own. And Chad just sent one as sign up. So, let's see here. You will notice that all, and I'm not going to read all these vowels because I really don't know that I can pronounce them. Kamatz, is that right?
Yeah.
Kamatz. Patach. Tzeri.
Zach.
Tzerek. Sigol. Sheva. Cholam. Chirik. Kubutsu. Kibbutz. And Sharuk. These correspond, the Kamatz corresponds to Keter. Hatach to Hokmah. Tzeri, is that right?
Wait, hold on a minute. What are you saying now?
The Kamatz is the Keter.
Kamatz is catcher.
Petach is Hokmah.
Okay.
Tzeri is Bina. Sigol is Hesed. Sheva is Guvarot. Cholam, Teferet. Cherik, Netzach. Kibbutz, Hod,
Cholam is
Teferet.
okay.
Cherik, Netzach. Kibbutz is Hod. Sharuch is Yesod. And Malchut has nothing of its own.
Okay, what was your sub?
Sharuch, Shuruk.
I can't think how to make it. I can't remember it.
Okay. You will notice that all of the vowels are formed by either combination of dots, or in this case, the first 2, Chamatz and Pateh, are small line. These are all form great significance.
Okay, get it right.
As Rabbi Chaim points out, each individual dot is actually the letter Yud. Each small line is actually a letter Vav. Listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. If we count the number of dots in the 8 lower vowels, we find the number 13.
What?
Y'all need to listen to this.
Okay.
Y'all need-
You just got me
Well,
off on
you're-
something else
You
here.
go so fast.
We're on a rabbit trail, sorry.
I'm on. No, you just. Okay, it's a ooh sound. All right, I'll leave it alone.
All right. All right. Listen to this.
I'll let it go.
All these dots and lines are either Yuds or Vavs. Okay? Small Yuds, small Vavs.
Okay.
If we count the number of dots or Yuds in the lower 8, we find the number 13, which we're going to get into 13 attributes of mercy, and the whole Tohu is 13 and all this kind of stuff. A lot of 13. Yud, as we know, is a numerical value of 10. 10 times 13 is what? 130.
30.
That's the wife
Ha-
of,
How many years was Adam separated from Eve?
he was 130 years.
130. And when Jacob walks up to Pharaoh and he says, "How old are you, Jacob?" He said,
130.
"I'm 130 years." And he says, "How were your years?" And then he said, "They had been painful and long." Okay, now, here's something very interesting. The 130 is the numerical value for what? $130. Okay? And can anybody tell me what the word for I in Hebrew is?
Ani.
I.
Ani.
So, as we can see, the lights that emanated out of the eyes are the nekudot, the vowels, creating the world of nekudim. There happened to be the numerical value is 130, which they still call the ayin today because it emanated out of the eyes. Just like
Oh, eyes.
you follow me?
Gotcha.
Follow me? All right.
What came out of the eye again?
Well,
Everything.
what he was,
The light.
what we were saying was, if you look at all the vowels in the Hebrew alphabet, there's 9 of them, and if you there some have dots, you know, they're little dots. If you count all the little dots and everything up, there's 13, and then there's Yud, and the Yud's value is 10. So 10 times that is 130. So the numerical value of all the little dots, if you add them all together, is 130, which is ayin, which is spells I in Hebrew. So which goes back and correlates that the lights that came out of the eyes.
You see what I got?
Yes, I
So
know what you-
now I can,
I knew you
now
were
I can
right.
put the wrong word in 2 different languages. I can still put the wrong word. I was saying I like
Yeah.
I.
And
Like
what
I.
your answer
No,
was
I.
correct. He gave me the correct answer
You were doing
for
the
I.
pronoun.
Yeah, I'm doing the pronoun and you're talking about the thing.
But you're adding the dots together to make 13, but
I
there's
wasn't
2
gonna argue with him.
There's 2 Yuds. It says if we count the dots or Yuds in the lower 8 vowels, we find the number 13. Yud, as we know, has a numerical value of 10.
Well, why wouldn't you do 20?
Well, there's probably 13 dots. I haven't looked at it.
Right. I mean, there are. But you're counting all the dots, but you're only counting 1 Yud.
We're taking a numerical value of the Yud.
Numerical. Oh, okay, okay.
Taking the numerical value of the Yud is 10.
Okay,
All right. Hold on, let me finish. I can't answer questions.
okay. And we can't understand it till you get to the question part.
Yeah. Now, as far as the 2 vowels, kamatz and patah, kamatz is a vav equals 6 and a yud 10.
16.
Patah is only a vav 6. These add up to,
We're cheating out and doing something wrong.
all right, I have to reiterate this once again.
We're being bad, Chad and John, sorry.
Here we go.
I'm sure Stacy is loving every bit of this.
Now.
Now you get to see what she goes through every day.
I'm fixing to call y'all's parents.
Was it just Stoke?
Stoke. Now,
Listen,
the first 2 vowels, kamatz and patah. Kamatz is a vav which equals 6 and a yud which equals 10. Patah is only a vav which equals 6. You add these together, you have 22. These are the 22 letters of the Aleph Bet, which interact with the vowels together forming creation. In other words, the Sphirot of Keter and Chokmah give rise to that which is to come. These two Sphirot create the vessels for all others. This is very clear and evident, especially when we remember that all of the realms of Ak are actually the general Keter, and all the worlds of Nekudim, Berudim, and Atzilut are generally Chokmah. These worlds of Chokmah are only now beginning to be explained. We're only now beginning to explain. It is with the emanation of the lights of the eyes of Ak that we begin to form the first world of Atzilut. Yet, as we have learned through these lectures, nothing happens so easily and directly. Like a flow in the mighty river, spiritual evolution flows along the pattern of its own course, a course that is only understood when the hidden recesses of the Mohin, or the brain of Ak, is studied. Once the vessels of the Sphirot of Nikudim came forth, which we discussed today, then it was time to receive their light. When Nikudim receives its light, we have a unique situation that arises. The vessels were unable to do it, and this led to the infamous shattering of the vessels and the fall of the light and the beginning of the Tohu. And so the shattering of our vessels will be what we cover next time. We are just now to the shattering of the vessels. Also, we need to cover the first lecture. So probably what we'll do is we will do the first lecture next time, because we are an hour and 20 in. And I am going to erase probably everything on this board this week. So if y'all need to get any of it down, take pictures, write it down, because from now on we're going to take Den, and we're going to probably make Den up here in this corner about this big with some dots in it, and this whole board's fixing to get filled up. We're going to go through every king. We're going to go through it all, and it's gonna be mind-blowing, and so we need not rush, because this is the essence of Torah. This is what it's all about. Once we get through this, which will be, we may even have to go past Simchat Torah, but it's not going to matter, because it's going to explain all of Genesis anyway.
Well, yeah, we'll see what we get when we're there. I mean, but let's not try to set that as it's a goal, not a mandate.
Yeah, because we really need to study. All right, real quick, questions. I know you got something.
Let's go. Let's read back through the vows for me.
Well, before you do that, would you give that last 2 sentences that you just said? You did it so fast, and yet you gave the whole summation.
Okay, about the lights of the shattering of the vessels?
Yeah,
All right,
about the bringing us to the point of the shattering of the vessel.
okay. Here's what's going on. I'm gonna metaphorically put it in a nutshell. Mama's back. And Daddy's home. And Mama ain't seen Daddy for a while.
130 years.
And Daddy is sitting on go. And Daddy is fixing to give Mama all she can handle it, and Mama can't handle it. And everything explodes. Because the lights that come out are too much for the vessel to hold.
Okay, I got that. Where did Mama go? Or where did Daddy go?
Metaphorically, just in and out.
Remember Daddy went way up to
Well, you're talking about everywhere. Where is everywhere? Where is there?
Or was it Daddy that was gone?
Nobody left.
You said Mama's home.
All right, think in 5 dimensions. Think in 5 dimensions.
Okay.
God has no outside, he has no
Yeah.
up, no down. So he didn't go anywhere, she didn't go anywhere, but I'm just trying to put a metaphoric picture in your mind.
Okay, you got it. Where is the 5 dimensions? You've got 4 here,
Well,
and up and down,
well,
but that's 6.
But there's front and back, there's right and left, there's in and out, there's up and down, there's, you know,
Now,
I
in
mean,
and out
there's
isn't a place.
there's a 16th dimension, there's a 32nd dimension. Math is, the infinity of dimensionality is
Okay,
Infinite.
you've
Yeah.
used the 5 dimension thing several
Oh,
times, and I've been
okay,
wanting to ask
alright,
you.
the only-
You've got
the-
4,
it's-
you've got right,
you're
left,
trying
front,
to-
back.
listen, Lloyd, you're trying to pin it down and say, what is that?
Yeah.
I'm just, next
go.
time I'll use the 8th dimension instead. It
Or
does,
you
it
just say
doesn't.
metaphorically,
Yes,
there's lots of dimensions.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes. I'm just trying to get you to think above flatland, 2 dimension, or even 3 dimension.
Right, okay.
I just say 5th dimension because nobody can wrap their brain around what is that
Well, I
really.
was trying to do that.
No. Listen to this. Listen.
That's what you can't do.
No, that's what you can't do.
Well, now I understand what you're saying. You're
Yes.
saying
But
metaphorically.
you've got to understand it within not doing that.
Yeah,
Trying to
okay.
pin something
Yes.
down.
Yes. Okay, listen. I'm going to read this. This is very important. When someone reveals a secret to a wicked person, he causes Yesod, which is the Vav, to channel its influence to the evil powers. This is alluded to by the words a secret to another. For the numerical value of the word for secret is sod is 70, referring to the 70 angelic princes of the non-Jewish nations. The non-Jewish nations, at least until their rectification in the Messianic future, embody the fallen version of Adam that chose to be associated with materiality of this world, and thus oppose their revelation of divine will on this earth. These are the 70 archetypal nations as enumerated in Genesis chapter 10. Their spiritual sources, their angelic princes, and personifications to different mentalities or cultures that they each express according to their perversion. Each is a different perversion of the Torah. Each emphasizes an expression of a different angle of Torah, preserving the parts and distorting others. In other words, every religion is sort of like Torah, but not really like Torah. It's perverting it. The wicked person is in this exposition can of course be a Jew as well as a non-Jew. When a Jew identifies with a particular non-Jewish culture mindset, he serves as a vehicle for the non-Torah life to take hold. When a person reveals a secret to the wicked, he causes Yesod to channel its flow into the 70 princes, so that they can overpower Malchut, the earth. God intended that they should all be subject to Malchut, under the purview of the Jewish people, but he affects the opposite, giving the forces of evil power over them. Now, if everybody, what I'm getting to here is, this information is liquid light. It is the secret of the world. If you tell it to anybody who doesn't want to know it, isn't coming to you asking you for it,
Begging you for it.
begging you for it, it will literally draw this out of your yesod, out of your body, and give power to the 70 demonic entities that rule this world, and will put the world into further bondage and further evil and further. So and they use the word secret here to mean any secret, but it doesn't mean any secret. It means this. It means the Torah. It means the Torah totally, but it really means what we're studying.
More like the revealed Torah.
Yeah, this is the when
When we
you're
revealed the concealed.
when you're talking about the sod Torah here. So what I caution you, I warn you, and I've given y'all lots of warnings as we've gone on in this, you know, is that this stuff is for you and you alone. You know, if you tell somebody what you study, oh, I'm studying Torah, man. You know, oh, that's cool, that's cool. If they want to know, they will ask. Well, what? So you know, and you give them. You don't give them everything. You just give them a little bit. Just see if they come ask you again, and a little bit. This is why rabbis don't teach.
You're supposed to ask them 3 times.
This is why a rabbi will not teach a Noahide. Because the Noahides are outside, they're wicked, they're the 70, they know better than to teach them. I guarantee you, every rabbi that's ever taught a Noahide eventually has had a huge conflict with the Noahides. And so, y'all, what I'm telling y'all here today, we are so fortunate that we have a rabbi that is willing to teach at least me, so that I can at least teach y'all, and we keep this transmission going. It's imperative. It's imperative. All right? So, study this. Torah is not an evangelistic tool. You don't go out and evangelize Torah because you give light to the other side because it has nothing else to feed off. It can only feed off the light of God.
That's right.
And your light. It cannot.
Casting your pearls upon
You're
the waves.
casting your pearls to the
The
swine.
whole book of Jude is about that.
That is what this is talking about. In other words, the whole evangelistic mind concept in Christianity is just polar opposite of Torah. It's the polar opposite of Torah. Okay? Torah has got to be kept pure
That don't belong there.
and neat because
Tight
because
and
it is the light of God. It is the light of God.
Constricted and bound.
Constricted and bound. And that is what makes God happy. So, Torah's amazing, the sages are amazing, this class is amazing. And Chad, we will see you next time, brother. And John, we'll
Yeah,
see you next
that's
time
that's the one.
on Shattering the Vessels. And we will probably go over the first session of the Leshem next week.
And it
Sarnar,
really doesn't.
Okay.
have
konnichiwa.
That's why I'm scared to put these on CD.
Put them on CD, keep them for us. Keep them for us.
Let me see where
What
else.
about, do CDs come in colors?
Yeah.
And if somebody
You could
did
get a color.
accidentally listen to one, they really wouldn't.
They wouldn't know.
What you were talking
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that way,
Yeah, but
we
when
can
I'm-
keep it real private.
Yeah. But I just don't want. Oh, well, look what we're doing here. Take this.
Well, but
No.
Yeah.
nevertheless, what
We're not gonna do that.
it still needs to be contained, even, because the last thing we wanna do is just have somebody
Look
pick
like
it up.
crazies.
Well, pick it up
Yeah.
and
Well, don't
even
put
laugh
the
at it
label
and
on it in code. Something boring.
Oh, we're codifying Torah. You know, God did that. He calls it the Tanakh.
Yeah, that's right.
God did the same thing. He just called it the Tanakh. That's why he coded it. That's why this thing is written the way it's written, y'all.
It's in
Just
code.
like what, that's the whole key.
Yeah, but put
You
it on
got-
the
you
label
ju-
of the CD,
You
so.
just got the whole thing right there.
Just like I started it.
So it couldn't be
Aren't you
perverted.
glad you came today? Well,
You just got the whole
what can we put on it as a code?
I don't care what you do, what you put on it.
Nursery
Just
rhymes.
all I'm saying is, you know,
Sewed comes to my mind. I don't even know what that means.
yeah. I mean, put whatever you want to on it. Just
How to plow.
this information is for you,
House
and
plow.
and
How to
this
plow.
information is for you to teach. But this information is for you to teach somebody who wants to know. Fertile ground, so to
Well,
speak.
you know the rabbis, their rule of thumb, and Vendel experienced this, you have to go through them 3 times before they will even give you the time of day.
And I've been learning with my
Oh,
rabbi for years and years and years and years, and I
Really?
still gotta
It's just
say,
the dot.
why you get, come on.
But if I was
And finally he'll,
writing
okay.
it, you know, because it's gonna
Okay, you
count.
said
This would be the
cashew.
6th.
down. You
But
said,
it
you were
works.
talking
It
in the
works
very beginning,
either
you
way.
said, okay, we gotta,
But it's not, when you're counting the
down.
13, you're not counting the dots on the yoke.
Kashu, what does that mean?
When you get to
But
this
that was
one,
the,
you can have
down
it
was the
with or
word you
without
used
a
next,
bob.
but
It can
kashu, what
attach
does
itself
kashu mean?
To the
Like, we
consonant
gotta go
part.
on,
It
or-
can attach itself to the vowel.
Oh, well,
So when you're
don't worry
reading
about
the
it.
For the
words
sock
without
down?
vowels,
No,
and it has
no,
a
no, no,
vowel
it was
in
right in the
there,
very beginning,
it
when you
could
first
be
started talking, and you
this.
got on about the kings, and then you said something about we gotta
The
kashu
same way
down,
with here.
and you just
You see a vowel in
ran
the
on
word.
off.
If
Well,
you
don't worry
don't know
about
the
it.
word, you don't know
Um,
whether it's an O or an U.
Okay, the crowns, what are
Because all you're
the,
gonna see is the vowel.
give me a real simple
The-
teaching on what are the crowns?
What do you mean?
Very
Like
simple,
the
just
word
go through
live?
the sentences.
The
I
crown.
know what it is, I know what it
You
looks
don't know how to
like,
pronounce it,
but
live or live.
what is the
unless you see it in
significance of a
sentence. Is that what you
crown?
mean?
Unless
Um,
you know the word. Or you can say,
It's
you
in the
can
Hebrew
say
language, I'm not real
Mattlage,
sure.
which
I
would
mean,
it be?
why are we even,
You'd have.
Well, I
Okay,
mean,
in this-
I mean,
in this
it
tanta-
represents
That's why
Ak. Ak is a crown of
You
creation.
can't read the
Ak is
word
Keter.
unless you know it.
Keter means crown. The tip of
Or you know
Yesod
the
is
rest of
corona,
you
the
know
crown.
the word.
the tip,
And you know
the tip
what,
of
you know
what?
what kind of goes
Yesod
there.
is called the crown, the corona.
Instead of being money
Okay, well,
or
what is it,
being.
what do you
lot.
think a crown
You say
is?
lot or loot.
What is it
And,
significant?
You could have a lot of loot.
The head,
Kingship, that,
Okay.
yeah, kingship, the head.
Okay,
Yeah.
in Tanta,
Yeah.
you've got crowns there.
Yeah, we gotta get to that.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
This is,
Okay.
But only certain words have the crown. Not
They
every
spell these, they
word.
transliterate
You
these a
can
little different,
find-
that's why I'm
Well, see,
asking.
Chad-
When you're reading
I
the
know
Hebrew,
that.
you can see the
Here
crowns,
is
and
Mitzvah.
they're not everywhere.
I know.
Well,
There's
see, John?
few and far between.
Right.
And then they've got
You still there?
Shrek. So this is just.
And when he says,
All right, Bubba,
when
I'm
he says
signing off.
Gevarot,
All right,
when you say Gevarot,
No, but I'm out of here. I got to go. I gotta go cook steaks. I'll call you later if you got any questions.
And that one,
Bye-bye.
You also said in a nutshell,
and that's pretty
You
interesting,
recall-
I wonder.
I say in a nutshell all the time. That's my
I
metaphor.
wrote nutshell and
Yeah.
colon and I'm.
This is me in a
like that,
nutshell.
And he just left my, you know.
This is me in a nutshell.
okay.
Here?
Why
You put it
can
on
we
the
not
in-
have a
in-
longer
inside,
class?
It's inside of the vowel.
Why?
You go so
Things to
fast,
do.
I can't even
Well, we've
think.
been here an hour and a half.
The
I know, I
Dagesh, the
think you
Dagesh
try
is.
personally to give
is-
too much information in the amount of time. Half the
That's what I
information.
Oh, I can tell y'all this.
That's what I think.
I gave half of the information I was gonna give today.
Well, maybe you should give a fourth of the
Half.
information.
Cause see, we're
Because we're not
slow,
getting
we're
it.
we're not kindergartners, we're 3-year-olds.
We're
Okay.
preschoolers.
All
And
right.
we've got
But
3-year-old
this is
pre-K
interesting that
and
they-
You go so
4-year-old pre-K.
fast that I can't
But see,
even.
you can have a.
All right.
Okay, when you say.
Well, y'all, we just got so much to
You can
cover.
have a.
Well, slow down, we've got all of our life, don't
You
we?
can have a chaf.
Or do you have an end date in mind? Are you trying to?
I'm trying to get through to Simchat Torah.
But that's kinda interesting.
But I mean, that's
how that
impossible.
Might be associated.
No.
with
What does that
being
word
the
mean?
10th one.
The
You need to
beginning
have
of
to
Torah.
attach
In other words,
yourself to
Oh.
one.
I wanna get through
You see what I'm saying?
all of how God got to
Pretty
Genesis,
interesting.
so that when we get to where you start at Genesis, then
He's talking about the festival, which is in October.
for,
So then, when you start to teach about Genesis, basically you'll go back and reteach.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
But you know what he's-
that way when I say
This is nothing but vocabulary.
this is nothing but a vocabulary lesson is all it is. That's all this is. That way when I'm talking about the Tagim and Ben, y'all are gonna oh yeah, those are the crowns. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, to me, you could be speaking Klingon,
For those.
Well, I am. I mean, y'all. I am learning this with y'all.
but y'all know the alphabet at least.
I don't.
know the alphabet.
I don't. I don't know any of it.
Well, get the printout and learn it.
Get the printout and learn it.
Get the printout and learn it.
I do.
I don't know any alphabet. I don't know it all.
Well, that's because I think you're trying
And it's
to, I think you're
color-coded.
trying to be
And
the
I know
only
that's really
Gentile
expensive, so-
Kabbalah teacher that doesn't know Hebrew.
You know what? For me to be able to do that and not know a lick of Hebrew, that's pretty good.
That's what I'm saying, that's what you're trying to
This is the one you need to look.
Okay.
This is it. This is how you pronounce
Pug,
it. Alpha,
dancing with.
Beta, Gimel,
Who?
Dalet,
be. I think it's about time
The dance of
we turned
Hassan
the,
Guvarot.
I think we turned the thing off.